and wasn't recording. Okay, so like I told you, we have been doing all of this work with reading memoirs and talking about what you believe in, what you don't believe in, all that stuff, because you're going to write a personal essay. And so we're going to talk about that essay today. I'm going to share with you a couple of examples. And pretty much the rest of the time, you're going to have to work on writing your beginning part of your essay. The first step of this will be that you'll select a topic, and we'll talk about topic selection in just a little bit, and then you'll go ahead and begin writing your introduction. Friday's class, I know you all will be here, but you'll see the video. We're going to talk about looking at the introduction, making sure that you're on the right track with it, if you have any questions about anything, and obviously, even though you're not going to be here, you can still ask me questions. You're welcome to join in on the live meet if you want to, but you don't have to, because I know you're probably like sleeping in at this time if you're on Friday. But there is something to be said about being able to ask questions as you're watching. So as you're watching at whatever time it is, if you have a question, send it to me on Classroom, okay? And that goes the same for anybody watching that. So This I Believe essays actually started from NPR. Have you guys heard of NPR? It's probably the talk radio that you skip when you're skating through your sections near your car, right? So NPR has been around forever, and they do a lot of these different kind of podcasts and things like that. And so we're going to listen to two today. One is going to point out something that probably maybe you wouldn't think about being a privilege, but it is to the author of this one. And then we're also going to read one or listen to one from Muhammad Ali. You guys know who Muhammad Ali is, right? Yes. Okay, good. All right. So let me get these pulled up, and hopefully the volume will work well. Let's see here. Bear with me for just a second. Okay, there we go. Good. All right. So if you want to listen to these, if you want to see the transcripts of them, they're all available on this link that I posted for you on Classroom under the This I Believe essay series. So we're gonna listen to two, and then after that, if you want to click on any of these and listen through any of them, you're more than welcome to. So this first one is called The Magic of Letters, and it's talking about the idea of learning to read as an adult, because like we assume that when we go to school, we're going to learn how to read, right? Like you assume when you get to kindergarten, somebody's going to teach you what letters and stuff mean, right? Not always the case in other places. And so we're going to play this one and listen to it, and then we will listen to the other setup. Let's see. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Now, here we go. If it'll work, because my internet also doesn't want to work. It's trying.
I believe in adaptation.
I believe in a silver lining.
I believe that being flexible keeps me going.
I believe every single person deserves to be acknowledged. This I believe.
After almost 4 years on the air, our This I Believe project has grown beyond our borders. Today's essay comes from Nepal, where the broadcasting company Antenna Foundation Nepal has started its own series based on ours. The essays appear on radio, TV, and in the newspaper. Today's was written by 38-year-old Chame Liwaiba, whose belief is related to the fact that it was written at all. Here's our series curator, independent producer, Jay Allison.
Chame Liwaiba never went to school as a child. She was illiterate. She became a child bride at age 15, but her husband stopped supporting her after a year. She lived a difficult life in a poor rural region of Nepal until, at the age of 21, she attended an informal literacy class where her belief was born. Here is Chame Liwaiba with her essay for This I Believe, read in English by Ramyata Limbu, recorded in Kathmandu.
I believe in the alphabet because it has the power to change life. I realized the power concealed in the alphabet on the very first day I joined the adult literacy class. For the first time, I was introduced to letters that stood for my name. In discovering the Nepali alphabet, I discovered I was Chameli and not Chamili, as everyone used to call me. It felt like magic. A little loop of E for I changed my name. If 3 letters could change my name, how much would I be able to transform my life if I understood all the letters? I spent that whole evening writing and rewriting my name. After that, I carried a spelling book with me while I went to collect firewood, weed the maize field, just everywhere until I learned to write. Before learning how to write, my life was like the nearby Indra Sarovar lake, always stagnant. I had the pain of child marriage. My husband did not support me. Abject poverty was my way of life, and I didn't have any skill or courage to do anything. But I saw that the number of people learning to read and write was growing, and their lives were improving. I then realized it was neither wealth nor beauty that I lacked, but letters. As my new knowledge of words boosted my confidence and courage, I made a resolution. Yes, my life has been like this, but I and my sisters and brothers should be given education, as much as we would like. The immediate obstacle to this was the Tasar River. The village school was on the other side of the river, and children would be cut off from going to school during monsoon season. I wanted to erect a bridge over the river. In the beginning, the villagers did not help. Some even mocked the idea, saying it was only for me, and called the idea Chameli Bridge. But finally, we got support, materials were collected, volunteer laborers were available, and the bridge was finally constructed. Now I cannot express my satisfaction seeing children running to school over that bridge. It is a bridge of iron, a bridge of letters, a bridge of community. Nothing is achieved without the cooperation of all. I am now heading 5 women's micro-saving groups. 10 or 20 rupees that used to be spent buying petty cosmetic items have been collected into a fund of 300,000 rupees. We are planning to open a small cooperative in the village soon. We also want to run permanent literacy classes for women and open a library. All this is the result of my knowing the alphabet, even though I learned it late. Letters have immense power. They have magic. The greatest thing in the world is the alphabet. That is my belief.
इच्छा र प्रार्थना दुवै हो। आखिर संसारमा सबैभन्दा ठुलो अक्षरै रहेछ, यो मेरो विश्वास हो।
Chameli Waiva's essay for This I Believe, read in English by Ramyata Limbu and recorded in Kathmandu, Nepal.
Okay, so when you pick a topic for this, it doesn't have to be that dramatic, right? That's a very intense thing. Now, you may have a topic that's relevant in that way. And if you do, choose that topic. But you also could have a topic like some of the others. Some of these that they've picked to put on here are more intense than others. The one that we're going to listen to next is Muhammad Ali's. I don't know if you're aware, he was a famous boxer, many years ago, and then he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And I think he just passed away maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but considered one of the greatest boxers of all time, and probably self-proclaimed more than anything. He had a personality about him. He had a confidence about him. And so his essay is going to read or to talk about how sort of the people who encouraged him and his confidence is what sort of motivated him to be who he is, despite everything else. And so he's going to talk about that. And it's not quite as intense as, having questions about being able to learn how to read, but it definitely is something else to think about. So the beginning part of this is a little bit more on the historical side of This I Believe essays. We're just going to listen to it just so you have more information about it, because this was originally a project that was started in 1950 and it ran for 4 years. And one of the most famous reporters of all time, Edward R. Murrow, is the one who started it. And then they rebooted this back in 2005 or 4, I think, and it ran for 4 or 5 years. And they tried to sort of be in the same vein as the original. So they're going to talk about that a little bit at the beginning. And then you'll hear Muhammad Ali's essay as soon as I find it. There it is.
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Michelle Norris.
And I'm Melissa Block. Over the past 4 years, our series This I Believe has asked people to tell us about their personal philosophies. We've aired essays from individuals young and old, famous and unknown, men and women whose beliefs ranged from prayer to atheism, from a belief in humanity to a belief in the ridiculous. Today marks the final This I Believe essay on our program. Tens of thousands of essays have been submitted over the years, and our series curator, Jay Allison, has been in charge of going through them all. Jay, thousands and thousands of essays. Remind us what inspired this series in the first place.
Well, it actually wasn't our idea. It was Edward R. Murrow's idea. And they did the series in the 1950s, every day on the air, regular people and famous ones. And we decided to bring it back just about 50 years later. And their series ran for about 4 years on the air, and so has ours.
And so many essays that you've gone through. There must be, though, I would think, some personal highlights that you will remember from the past 4 years.
The problem is there are just so many. I mean, you encounter people's lives in the most intimate way. I mean, here they are, all strangers, and they're all telling you what's the most important thing to them. And it's utterly non-trivial. And each one has been a real honor and privilege to talk to people this way and to listen to them this way. But I think maybe for me, a personal highlight, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. We got an essay from an astronaut circling the Earth, and he ended up calling me on my cell phone driving down 95, and we were talking about belief. He in space, in the space station, and me in my Toyota. That was a memorable moment.
A high point in more ways than one.
Really.
This, Jay, we should say, is not the final This I Believe essay for NPR. There are a few more essays scheduled for this month on other programs, but it is the final essay for All Things Considered, and it's a special one. Tell us about it.
Well, it's from somebody that we wanted to get from the very first day. It was on the list at the top of the list. And finally, we've got it. It's from Muhammad Ali. And I suppose I should introduce him, but it seems like maybe he needs none. He's probably one of the best known figures on the planet and a hero to millions of people. He's a former heavyweight boxing champion of the world, and he's known for many things beyond his athletic life, his irrepressible personality, his public conversion to Islam, his resistance to the war in Vietnam, and his philanthropic and humanitarian life in this country, overseas. He's also known for his struggle with Parkinson's disease, and this essay he crafted with his wife and his family. And he asked his wife, Lonnie, to read it, so you'll hear her voice reading the essay. And we also dropped a tape recorder off at his house in Phoenix, and he worked very hard to put his voice into the essay too, so you'll hear it. We haven't heard Muhammad Ali's voice much lately, and you will hear him in this essay.
Well, let's listen. This is Muhammad Ali's essay for This I Believe.
My name is Muhammad Ali. This I believe.
I have always believed in myself, even as a young child growing up in Louisville, Kentucky. My parents instilled a sense of pride and confidence in me and taught me and my brother that we could be the best at anything. I must have believed them because I remember being the neighborhood marble champion and challenging my neighborhood buddies to see who could jump the tallest hedges or run a foot race the length of the block. Of course, I knew when I made the challenge that I would win. I never even thought of losing. In high school, I boasted weekly, if not daily, that one day I was going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. As part of my boxing training, I would run down 4th Street in downtown Louisville, darting in and out of local shops, taking just enough time to tell them I was training for the Olympics and I was going to win a gold medal. And when I came back home, I was going to turn pro and become the world heavyweight champion in boxing. I never thought of the possibility of failing, only of the fame and glory I was going to get when I won. I could see it. I could almost feel it. When I proclaimed that I was the greatest of all time, I believed in myself, and I still do. Throughout my entire boxing career, my belief in my abilities triumphed over the skill of an opponent. My will was stronger than their skills. What I didn't know was that my will would be tested even more when I retired. In 1984, I was conclusively diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Since that diagnosis, my symptoms have increased and my ability to speak in audible tones has diminished. If there was anything that would strike at the core of my confidence in myself, it would be this insidious disease. But my confidence and will to continue to live life as I choose won't be compromised. Early in 1996, I was asked to light the cauldron at the Summer Olympic Games in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, my immediate answer was yes. I never even thought of having Parkinson's or what physical challenges that would present for me. When the moment came for me to walk out on the 140-foot high scaffolding and take the torch from Janet Evans, I realized I had the eyes of the world on me. I also realized that as I held the Olympic torch high above my head, my tremors had taken over. Just at that moment, I heard a rumble in the stadium that became a pounding roar and then turned into a deafening applause. I was reminded of my 1960 Olympic experience in Rome when I won the gold medal. Those 36 years between Rome and Atlanta flashed before me, and I realized that I had come full circle. Nothing in life has defeated me. I am still the greatest. This I believe.
I'm still the greatest of all time. This I believe.
That was Lonnie and Muhammad Ali with his essay for This I Believe. Lonnie says that when she was working on this essay with Ali, she learned something she hadn't known about his childhood, and that is that he was a great roller skater. Every week he'd go to the rink and dazzle people with his moves, dancing backward through the crowd. And you can find all the essays, the 207 we've aired so far in our series, at npr.org/This I Believe.
Okay, so his drive essentially is something that he believes in, his ability to say, I'm going to overcome these things. Is that always the case? No. You may choose something like, I believe everybody should at some point in their life go to a haunted house. Maybe you had an experience at a haunted house that changed you. Maybe you realize that being scared is the way to cope with things for you, right? And you think about those things as a way to sort of deal with bad things. I found that in the time of quarantine and things like that, I'm much less of a chicken than I thought I was because I've been watching a lot of scary movies, because when I'm watching those scary movies, I don't think about this, right? It's a general thing, right? I don't think about it as much. So I'm going to show you the, show you the rubric and things like that for this, so that way you see it. So if you want to look at it if you want to look at it on your own device, you can, if you can't see it as well. But it's under day 13 lesson. And so here you have the This I Believe link. So if you want to listen to more of those, you want to look through some more of those, you're more than welcome to do so. So this is the assignment. And I'm going to walk you through some of the process and things like that today. And then you'll have whatever time remaining to work on your essay. So the first thing you're going to do with this is you're going to choose a topic. Okay, that's step one. So this is a personal essay. You're looking at 500 to 1,000 words. So page to 2 pages, maybe a page and a half if you're pushing it. All right, not a long essay. 6 or 7 paragraphs will do it. Okay, I'm not looking for 27 pages. I mean, if you want to write 27 pages, okay, more power to you, but whatever. So the beginning of this just kind of talks to you about what it is that you need to pick. This is originally designed to be a speech, but I'm not going to make you do that. You're welcome. But I am going to make you write it. Okay. I may consider some bonus points if you want to record it, though. I can consider that. We'll talk about that later on. So you're going to pick something that you believe firmly. Please be personal. Okay. Now, I know that there's a comfortability level with personal things and things like that. I get it. All right. Be personal, though. That makes this essay more towards you, right? It makes it your essay. All right. So instead of doing the normal things, if you had me before, you have to turn in a rough draft and then you do a second draft. It's going to be a little bit different than that this time, because obviously we're going to be kind of working on this as a process. And I can't have you all really do a lot of workshopping together. Peer reviewing is going to look different, right? And so for me, the easiest thing for me to do is to have you all submit a rough draft to me, but you are still able to edit it. I give you comments and feedback, and you do this. I've done this before, but I've not really done it on a large scale like this. It's just been kind of like, if you want to submit it to me and get some feedback, you can. But usually I let your peers do that. So this time it's going to be, you'll send it to me, I will give you feedback, and then your peers can also give you feedback. All right. Here's the beauty of this. Because we're virtual, if you have a friend in another one of my English 4 classes who you want to look over your paper, they can do so because they may be virtual, right? Does that make sense? So if there's somebody in here who you don't want to, like if you don't want anybody in here to do your peer review, you can have somebody else in one of the other classes do it. And that's fine with me, because nobody's getting a grade for peer review. You're just doing it to help somebody else out, okay? But again, we'll talk about that later. We're not going to do a second draft. We're just going to do the first draft and a final draft. So today, you're going to begin to narrow down your topic. And like I said, there's no guidelines really for what kind of topic you're supposed to pick. I started writing mine yesterday with first period, and mine is going to be about working in fast food. That's my thing that I believe, and I'll talk about it in a second. So there's a couple ways that you can start this off. All right, you can start it off with a question. All right, make sure you don't answer that question. It's rhetorical. All right, you can give it some sort of like story to start with. It could be something small or something large that you're going to later expand on. You can give a quote to start it off with, or you can do a startling statement. And I like the startling statement just because that's something that makes somebody say, okay, wait a minute. And so the one that I give as an example here is after over a decade of planning, my life changed forever thanks to a little girl I will never meet. That's a startling statement. And it makes you think, why are they never going to meet that little girl? Why did their life change? Okay, so you have to think about a time, something that has happened to you, an event that has changed your perspective on things. And what can you, I guess, dilute that moment down to, right? So in mine, I'm talking about how I think everybody should at some point in their life work at a fast food restaurant. Here's why. When I was 17 years old, I learned how to deal with difficult people. How many of you guys ever worked in fast food? Yeah, I had a potato thrown at me through the window one time. I worked at Wendy's for 2 years. It was not a fun experience because I didn't do anything wrong. The person just got mad at me and threw a potato at me. Because that's what you do, I guess. I don't know. But that would probably be the starting point there. But my actual lesson would be a time whenever I was working as a crew leader at Wendy's as a 17-year-old, had gone to school and was ready to go home. And there was this kid. He was not my age. He wasn't really a kid. He was my age. But he would come to work late every single time. And 9 times out of 10, I couldn't leave till he clocked in. So there was this one time that I remember very vividly. He came in late. And he's like 20 minutes late. And he came in and he was wearing flip-flops. Now, if you've ever worked at a fast food restaurant, you'll know that if you wear flip-flops while you're working at a fast food restaurant, you're going to fall on your butt very quickly because the floor is greasy. You have to wear like non-skid shoes and things like that, because if not, you're going to bust it. Okay? So he comes in, he's wearing flip-flops, and the manager on duty says, "Where are your shoes? Why are you not wearing shoes that you're supposed to wear for here?" "Oh man, I forgot them. I guess I got to go back home." And I said, "Oh, no. I want to go home." So I kicked off my shoes, gave them to him, and said, "I'm leaving." And I clocked out and I drove home barefoot. And what that taught me is that not only do I have to be able to deal with difficult people, but I have to provide solutions with difficult people. So I provided a solution for him. I had to drive home barefoot, but I got to go home, which is what I really wanted to do. And so that would be something that I would tell in that story and how it taught me something, and I would explain that lesson. Does your lesson have to be like that? No. Does it have to be that? Does it have to be funny? No. Does it have to be intense? No. It can be somewhere in the middle. But what the important part is that you share something that you have learned from something you have experienced. Okay? You with me so far? Any questions so far? So on Google Classroom, there is a Google form. And that is where you will tell me what your topic's going to be. Try to be specific with your topic. You may already have a topic sort of rolling around in your mind. You may not. And so if you don't have a topic rolling around in your mind, I suggest you go through This I Believe essays and watch some more. Okay? Watch them, or not watch them, listen to them and see if there's other ones that sort of, you can even scroll through them and see what they're about and see if any of those sort of speak to you. They may sort of make you think about something. And so you are going to pick your topic and tell me what your topic's going to be. That's on the Google form. More than likely, I'm going to approve it. Odds are. But I just want to see what your plan is. After you finish that, you begin working on your intro paragraph. Okay, you're not going to turn this into me until probably at a minimum Thursday, probably by the end of class. So you all will be just by the time that things are due. But the ones who will be here, not Thursday, Friday, the ones who will be here on Friday will have to turn it in by the end of the class period so I can look through it over the weekend and get it back to you. Okay, and so you guys try to have it to me maybe before you come in next Tuesday, the intro. Does that work? Okay. But I will put a place on Google Classroom for you guys on Friday so that you can submit your intro paragraph to me. You will write on the same Google document. So you will just submit that document to me repeatedly. All right. So when you create the document, put your title that you're going to do, like whatever topic is, and your name. That way when you share it with me or you post it on there, I will see it. Okay. And you can also find it in your Drive, which is a lot harder these days than what you think it is because you got so much stuff floating around here. All right. So today, pick your topic, share it with me on the Google form, and then begin writing your intro. All right. Friday's class, we're going to talk about how to plan the essay. We're going to go through my introduction and look at it, see what I've done with it, and how I've sort of rolled with it, and then what things you can maybe do to help improve yours. Okay? Sound good? All right. You have the rest of the class period to work on this, or to work on anything that you need to work on, either it's in my class or not. I do expect you to be working, obviously, but work on what you need to work on. Okay? Hopefully the internet cooperates. All right. Okay. If you have any questions, I'm here. Just because I sit down at my desk and work on like grades or something, that doesn't mean I've like shut the door. Okay? You are welcome to ask me questions. If you don't want to ask me a verbal question, send me an email. I will also respond to emails. All right? So get to it. I will check your topics as they come in. And if there's anything that I think maybe you need to expand on some more, I may send you a message. Okay? All right. That's all I got.